everyone, and welcome to the Journey Success Stories podcast. I'm Jennifer Sheffel, your host today, and I'm with Ron Harper. He is the owner of Videos on Your Website. I'm super excited to have him as my guest today. And if this is your first time logging in, make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel because you need to get notifications in case we have new conversations dropped. You need to get notified so you can tune in, watch, and hear about those journeys as well. So, Ron, thank you for joining us today. We are super excited to be talking about your business, your journey to business ownership, any challenges, of course, best practices, and really share that sneak peek with us. So, welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's a pleasure, and I thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. Absolutely. So, we would really love to know more about you and the business. So, take us through the path of what got you into business ownership and having videos on
Yeah.
your website.
Well, I spent over 30 years in broadcasting, mostly radio. I was on the air, I was a programmer, and I was a production director. And then about 2006, I was asked to leave and spent a couple of years knocking around, but I ended up working for Kroger, running a photo lab out in Trenton. And in the meantime, I started networking and I got with the folks at SCORE, who are it's a marvelous organization.
Yeah.
I talked to them ostensibly to figure out how to market the voiceover business that I was doing. And we came up with this model because I had just been to a marketing meeting where they had unveiled this new Kodak, uh, like, I don't know, flip cam or something, but it was, the little portable camera that you could upload directly to YouTube. And I thought,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. And my SCORE counselor said, well, why don't you do videos for websites? And I thought, well, that's a really interesting idea. I did some research. It looked like something I could do. I took some bonus money, went out and bought equipment, called a couple of friends, did a couple of freebies, and then I was on my way. I built my own website and, launched it, and it just grew from there. Oddly enough, in 2020, when everything sort of shut down,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, now what do I do? Because I can't go out and shoot and film. I made a pivot and I started doing some virtual production with folks uploading selfie videos and then my using stock photos and stock footage and weaving them into a nice little story. 2020 was my biggest year ever.
That's awesome.
Isn't that weird?
But you really pivoted
Yeah.
and made it what you needed it to make it. And you really capitalized on that. There's one thing that I want to circle back on that you had said that I think is so super important, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So you had said that you did some shooting for free in
Yeah.
order to really get some, like, your name out there and everything. So can you share, because there might be some people that are startups and they're trying to get their legs underneath them. Like, what was your offer in order to take this freebie and to turn it into something that's so extraordinary? Can you share with us?
Um, I went to a couple of folks that I was networking with and I said, here's what I'm doing. I want to come shoot your story. One of the first ones, I actually wrote her script because I knew what I wanted to do and I knew what her story was.
Mm.
And I went over there, we shot it, and they used it for a couple of years. Um, that was basically and it was to build a portfolio. It was to show people, here's what I'm doing, here's what I can do. The other part of the website that I constructed was I wanted a section where I was giving back. So uh, I got with other marketing and website folks and advertising folks, and I'd ask them, okay, what is your feeling on videos? How do you handle video marketing? And I use that in a separate section to say, here's what other people are saying. Here's what other people are saying, why video is important. And I still do that to this day.
Love that because you're also getting testimonials within that process.
Right.
That's so important. Okay, so now we go back to 2020 and you've had your biggest year ever. Then what?
Then, the pandemic sort of ended. I was able to go out and shoot some more. Um, One of the first clients that I had after that connected with me over a social media platform, went out and talked to him. He had two different businesses, and he had one business where he had a video that was done. And he said, nah, I don't really like that much. Maybe we should reshoot that. And I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. He said, well, I'm building a new website for this. I said, oh, really? Who's doing your website? Well, so and so is doing my website. And I know that other person. And I'm like, would you talk to a friend of mine? Sure. So I connected him with a partner of mine who builds websites and does a very good job. They got together. She won the business. And we ended up doing 6 videos for over both businesses.
Ah,
Power
fabulous.
of networking.
Yes, yes. It really is a very powerful thing. So, when it comes to networking, what is the number one thing, if you were to give someone advice, like our listeners today, around networking? What would you say to them in the power of networking?
Number one, build relationships. Number two, when you are doing your introduction or your 30-second commercial or whatever it is that your networking group gives, sell one thing.
Mm,
Just do one thing and make sure your message is right on point. I just came from my Friday morning networking group. There was a new person there, um, gave his commercial, blah, 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 blah. But there was something in there. It's like, I told him, no, no, that one piece that you just said,
mhm.
that's the opening to your networking commercial, because that's where somebody's going to say, oh, really? Tell me more. See, he buried the lead, and that's a big thing with me. Don't bury the lead. Put that first.
Yes. Well, and making sure that it's all about the individual
Yeah,
is also super important because now you showed interest in that individual. Now they're going to show interest in you.
right.
It is a very powerful thing. I love that. So, how long have you been in business now, Ron?
It has been 16 years.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
So, tell me, what has been the biggest challenge that you've had as a business owner that you've overcome?
um, well, there were two things. We were talking about that this morning too. The hurdles that you face starting up. One of them was learning how to edit. I did audio editing for a long time in radio. Video is the same thing, but with pictures. But there's still a learning curve. And I found a video editing program that I love. I have since gone on to 2 other editing programs that I use different in different ways. That, and the other part is learning how to tell a client no.
Ooh, tell me more. I love this.
I had a possible client up in Dayton, drove up there, met with them, saw what they wanted to do, showed them my work. They were interested. They said, let's do this. I came back and sent them my production agreement, my standard production agreement. His secretary called me and said, well, he wants this and this and this. He doesn't want this and this and this. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not a good fit because I don't work that way.
Good for
And
you.
one of the things that he wanted was, uh, he wanted multiple revisions. He didn't want to pay me until he was completely happy.
Oh,
And I said, sorry, it doesn't work that way.
wow. Congratulations for sticking to your guns
Yeah.
because, yes, a production agreement is your standard, it's your process, and we have to make sure that we are positioning from the very beginning.
Another story that just came to mind when I was first starting out was a networking group. And there was a new person there. There was another uh, member who built websites.
Mhm.
And he said, come over to my place, both of you. I want to talk about building a website and getting some video. We went and talked with him. She went first, talked about her stuff. And he said, well, I've got a friend who's in college that's learning how to build websites. He could probably do it for cheaper. What can you do for me? And she started cutting her price.
Ooh.
And then he turned to me and he said, and what can you do for me? And I said, that's the price. I don't cut my price. He hired both of us, and she was really mad.
I bet she was. So this is one of the biggest things that we coach on is knowing your worth.
Yeah.
You have to know your worth and what your price is your price. And you got to hold your guns. And if you are increasing or going to conferences or trainings, guess what you should do?
It's your price.
Absolutely, you got to increase your price.
Yeah.
So, for those that are watching, we are learning every day. We are increasing ourselves and our capabilities. So, we've got to make sure that we're increasing our price. So, Ron, share with me what's maybe the biggest challenge you're seeing right now in the business?
Um, there are two things. A lot of folks are uh, out there with a camera and a computer,
Mm,
and they think that they can do this, and maybe they can. But one of the things that I bring to the table is with all the years in radio, working for everybody from car dealers to club owners to a discount casket company. Um, I figured out, and through the training, we had some great training in the radio business,
yeah.
figuring out how to get to that specific message that resonates with the buyer, that turns that signal into, I need that now. And that's the thing that I do with my clients, showing them how to get to that message. Um, the other challenge kind of is AI. AI
Mm,
is a tool, and it's a good tool. I've been using it a little bit more, but it need AI needs accountability. And that's where you come in. You have to be accountable for it, with it. You have to edit it, and it can't do everything.
very true. That's where the human component has to come into play with AI. It
Yeah.
can make us be more efficient and effective, but we have to still babysit it, if you want to call it that, because it's a member of our team.
Yeah.
So it's another member of our team. So talk about that. How many employees do you currently have or have had over the past? Like,
Just
yeah.
me. Just me. Um I have used uh students
Hmm.
and interns with either helping to schlep equipment or uh, helping to shoot sometimes, especially if they are uh, learning to shoot and stuff. Um, but that's been pretty much it. I don't use a lot of equipment on a shoot, but sometimes there are challenges with moving stuff around. And
Yeah.
I had one client whose office was upstairs, and the stairs were. You ever been to Amsterdam?
Yes.
You go in the front door and then the stairs are like this.
Yes.
He had stairs like that. And I needed some help getting the camera and the tripod and stuff upstairs.
That would be a workout for
Yeah,
sure
it was.
because that equipment is not light.
It depends.
It's probably gotten better.
Some of it is. I've got two cameras that I use. One's a little bit heavier. The other one fits all in one bag. Um, the tripod is not light, not heavy, but can be cumbersome.
Yeah, especially if you're going up some very steep steps.
Oh
It's
yeah.
gonna be like 5 floors or something crazy. So, where do you see the business long term? So, if you think about even just 5 years from now, you've arrived. What does the business look like then?
That is so difficult to determine. Um, I hope that I'm still doing this in 5 years. I don't know. It it will probably evolve. It's evolved a little bit in the last 10 years, but I think there's always going to be a need for this kind of communication between business and consumer. I don't do uh, business to, I do business to business. I don't do business to consumer. I don't
Yeah.
do weddings and stuff like that. Um, but I think there will always be a need for some kind of video communication, uh, especially with business. I don't know how websites and social media is going to evolve from now to then, but you're still going to need some kind of interaction because when you got a website, people are searching for you and they find you, when they can see you and hear you, that builds your credibility. And, there's a lot of statistics that show when somebody's searching for a product, they see a video, they're 80% more likely to buy from
Yes.
that video.
Yes. Yes. So let's say you are still doing this 5 years from now. And I completely agree. And I think that 80% is going to grow because we are becoming more and more virtual, more and more technology. And so the need, I think, is going to be even more. And one of the things that you had honed in on earlier is telling the story.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit I'm not the best at telling my story. Remember, I'm a suffering accountant. So you want to talk about an accountant trying to tell the story? It's not exactly something that's easy. So think about me, for instance. 5 years from now, we've arrived, technology is continuing to boom. What does it maybe look like?
You know, just knowing that you're an accountant reminds me, I saw a video that was shot by somebody else just a few years ago. It was a testimonial from one of their clients. Their client was a restaurant owner, and it was nicely shot. He talked about his restaurant. He talked about working with his CPA firm.
Mm,
And then there was this little nugget that he said that was like, if I heard that, why wouldn't I hire the CPA firm if they can do that, if they can be this way? The problem was, it was a 3.5 minute video, and that little nugget came 3 minutes in. Again, he buried the lead. And that was a professional video company. So,
mm,
getting the message right is a lot more than just setting up equipment and shooting it. you have to do a little pre-interview, you have to do some pre-production, and you go in. One of the first videos I shot for a massage therapist, um, he wanted to talk about his modality of massage. And I said, no, no, look in the camera and say, where are you hurting today? Oh, that's great. That's exactly what I see.
You know what we call that?
What's that?
What's the emotion?
Yeah.
What are you fixing? So, 5 years from now, with all the technology and everything, do you foresee yourself still being the solopreneur? Or do you think, and maybe leveraging more technology? Or are you kind of thinking maybe I'm getting more people involved? Or what do you
I
think?
would probably be by myself. I would love to have a brick and mortar studio and,
Ooh.
be able to hire people and stuff like that. But, it's not my thing. When I was managing, when I was programming a radio station and I had staffs to work with. And by the way, radio station staff is like running a nursery school. There really is. But one of my part-timers told me afterwards, he said, you're sort of a laissez-faire leader. It's like, okay, you just kind of let things happen. Um, I don't know if that's the right way to run a business, but you know that I don't know that might not be the best thing for me. So I'll just keep doing what I do until I can't do it.
So, what does the business look like when it's complete? Meaning, are we selling it? Are we passing it down? Or are we just dissolving it? What's your thoughts, Ron?
Um, it could probably be sold. If I'm not around, there is a codicil in my will explaining how to go about dissolving the business.
Mm,
I thought that out a long time ago. There are things I want and things I don't want, and that's written down. So,
good for you. I love that you've prepared for at least that point. But best case scenario, what do you see? Do you see you selling it or it's just with you until you're not here anymore?
um, it's either that or if I can't, for some reason, do this anymore, I could sell. I mean, the domain name, videosonyourwebsite.com, is pretty powerful. And I think that has value. My client list probably has a value. The equipment 5 years from now there will probably be a lot better cameras and stuff like that. Um, so I don't know if that has a value, but the intellectual property probably does.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if you think about some of the cameras that we have today and the cameras that we had 10 years ago, some of those are making actually a comeback.
Well, and I'm not an Apple person, but the iPhone shoots very well. And there's some Android phones that shoot very well.
Yeah. Yeah. I use my iPhone, iPad, so I am an Apple girl. And I use it to shoot all sorts of stuff, whether I'm in the moment or just want a real quick little, 20-second something.
And that's what it's good for.
Yes, but a true like commercial, voice to the consumer or to other businesses, it needs to be more upscale. So tell us a little bit more about, hey, all these people have a camera and a computer. They're trying to do all this on their own instead of maybe having you do it. What's been the number one thing that you've noticed as far as, wow, I really wish they would have came to me?
There's three things that you need to know. The first thing is audio. If
Mm,
it doesn't sound good, if you're sounding like you're coming from the bottom of a barrel, nobody's going to watch. The
correct.
second thing is lighting. It has to be lit well. If it's too dark, it looks kind of creepy. If you're if you sit your subject in front of a window, which I've seen happen, you wash them out.
Yeah.
And the third thing is stabilization. We've all seen the cameras and they're shooting and they're panning. Get a tripod. There's some very inexpensive tripods, or set the camera up somewhere where it's stable.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very well said. And it's interesting because even some of our phones now have certain settings where even if it's not stable, that it tries to help you.
Yeah. And the way it does that is it zooms in a little bit more. So you have to be aware of that.
Mm, very well said. So let's say you get to sell the business. What does that mean to you personally? And what does that allow you to do with your own life in those maybe final golden years? Or,
I'm in my golden years, Jennifer.
well,
This is it.
every year is a golden year, Ron.
Yeah, you know, as long as you're this side of the dirt, I guess. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to sell for six figures. Um, you know, there might be a little bit of money, but you know, I'm doing what I want. I'm doing what I love. And that's the secret of success to me, is do what you love and get paid for it. You know, I don't even own a suit anymore. I didn't even, you know, I was able to come to work in jeans and a t-shirt when I was in radio if I wanted to. And I still, you know, I wear jeans. I've got polos and other shirts. I'm comfortable. And that's what I want to do.
I love that because, yes, one of my follow up questions was going to be what does success look like to you?
That's it. It's always been that way.
And very well said because everyone's happiness is different. But that's the whole golden thing in life is just to make sure that we're happy. So, are there any opportunities that you would love to do or to take advantage of in your personal life that maybe you haven't quite yet?
Mm. Hmm. You know, a lot of people would say travel. I've traveled a lot. My wife and I traveled extensively when she was doing marathons.
Mm,
Um, we're kind of gotten away from that now. You know, I think, you know, just I'm like I said, I'm doing what I want to do.
it's awesome. So, what's a big trip that you guys have scheduled or anything?
No, we haven't. We went to Columbus last weekend, and that's the first time we had a road trip, I think, in over a year, for other reasons. But um, you know, we've been to Europe, took her to Europe twice. I don't know that that's really in the cards for a while because of things that are going on. But you know, we took a cruise a couple of years ago with her family. One of her nephews was getting married on the ship,
Mhm.
and I had not done a cruise on a big ship like that. I've been on a windjammer years ago. That was cool. And this big, I'm not going to say humongous because it wasn't one of the big ships, but it was a big ship. Um, that was interesting to live like that for a week.
Yeah, it is really cool just to experience different things. So, what is one trip that you guys would love to take or that you guys maybe talk about from time to time?
Um, you know, I love Rick Steves and I love Europe, and there's some great places over there. I'm the cook at home, so I've always done that, and I love cooking and eating. Uh, I always thought, wouldn't it be great to go to some little place in France or Italy and, you know, learn how to do it their way,
Yes.
take cooking classes in the countryside of France or, on the Amalfi Coast of Italy and get those techniques.
Yes. I love this so much. Because like Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts. When she's over in Italy and takes some classes, I always thought that would be the coolest thing. So I am totally there with you. And by the way, when you do this and you come back, I'm coming over and I'm going to have some of this amazing food. I'll bring the wine. So that sounds like so much fun, Ron.
Yeah,
All right. So are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
I think so.
Excellent. We already answered the first one of what's the key to success for you, but what is one piece of advice that you would give to other business owners?
Make a marketing plan, make a business plan for sure, and then know how much you're going to spend on marketing. Make a marketing budget. That is very important. You can't just find a shiny object or throw something at the wall and hope it works.
Mm, well said. Yes, yes, yes. As an accountant, that's always been things that we talk about, and you got to make sure you're getting that ROI out of it.
Yeah,
Throwing stuff at the wall, it's not a plan. You're just seeing what sticks.
yeah.
Thank you for that advice. So, what is a book or podcast that you're reading or listening to right now?
I have a couple of Patricia Cornwell books on my Kindle. I'm about partway through one. I like mysteries and um the though her books are really great. I finished most of the of course now I can't think of the woman's name. The alphabet series, A is for alibi and all of those. Um we've got all of those. We met her at a book signing. She was an amazing writer. That's the ones that I'm usually drawn to.
That's so cool. Well, during our day to day, things are generally pretty serious, right? So,
Mhm.
going to that fictional place keeps those creative juices rolling. And of course, being in video, that's super important.
I like biographies as well, depending on the biography. A lot of them are just, and then I wrote, and then I wrote, and then I wrote. But I like to hear the genesis of the person and what caused them to do what they do.
Yes, yes, well said. So, here's kind of a fun question. If you had a little bit of magic dust that you could sprinkle on one part of the business, what would it be?
Um, yeah, just more income. This has not been the best year,
Mm,
but it's only half over, so there's the other half that's going to happen.
it's looking bright.
Yeah, so that's the one thing I'd like to do a few more things uh, and a few more different things than I've done in the past.
Ooh, tell us more.
Well, I shoot a lot of customer testimonials and what I would call talking head, but there was um, there was a client that I had that was a software company. We went to places where they were vendors, Lady Remington in Chicago, the Crate and Barrel Distribution Center in Chicago was massive,
That
and it
sounds
was
so cool.
it was great, you know, to shoot the boxes coming down the conveyor belts and going all around and stuff. Um, we strapped a camera to one of their little robot things and got some good scenes that way. That was always fun. I'd like to do some more of that. It just depends on who I get to talk to.
Oh, I love this. So, this is a great point. I'm so happy that we brought this up. You don't only do humans, you can do product. As we're B2B, we may want to show the thing that we're selling and have videos around that too.
Show the product, demonstrate the product. How does it work? The gentleman I told you about earlier, he had a product that would like stop a leak if you had a leak in your oil pan or something.
Mhm.
And he set up a demonstration. He had a tank full of water and he put a pressure valve on it and then would pump it up with nothing on it and it would leak at like 100 psi. Then he put his patch on it, pumped it up, would go to 400 psi and it wasn't leaking. It's like that shows really how this thing works. That was very powerful. He's still using it, by the way. It's
Yes.
on Amazon.
That's great. I love that you have people that are still using the videos that you have produced. But even more so, I would say your unique selling proposition, it's not just the video, it's the story.
Yeah.
And you pulling the story out of people to really produce the sale. So I think that's beyond huge. I have one final question before we get into how can everybody get in touch with you because they got to sell
Yeah.
and get more revenue. But what is the most inspiring thing to you today?
People's resilience.
Tell me more.
Just seeing how certain folks can bounce back from adversity.
What's your most amazing story or thing that you've seen lately?
Um, yeah, I don't know that we need to go there. But
Okay.
yeah. We'll not talk about that.
All right. I can tell you got a good one. But I love that because stories really produce the sale and really get people to buy. So, that being said, Ron, how can people get in touch with you? Because people need you, and we need to get these revenues pumping in so our businesses continue to thrive in our region.
The website is videosonyourwebsite.com. There are a ton of samples from every vertical on there. The email address is Cincy Videos, Cincy with a Y, videos with an S, Cincy Videos at Gmail. There is a YouTube channel that I put um, a lot of clients on,
Mm,
and I think that's on YouTube. It probably is Harper Video, and then there's another channel that I have where I was on a podcast about a year ago talking about radio stories, and oh, those stories are great. And I've always wanted to do that, so I established a YouTube channel where I could tell the stories about things that happened to me in radio, and that's
oh,
yeah. You know, we won't go into it, but I wrote a script for WKRP that didn't sell. I produced Paul Harvey in a newscast that went awry. How I got into radio, the best rejection that I ever got. Those are all on there. That's um, that's Ron Harper voice on YouTube. But if somebody's interested, they can go and see those little things.
I think those little things add up and they mean a lot. And you may have more people going to the site than what you realize
I
because
hope
that
so.
sounds interesting.
Yeah, they're
So,
fun.
thank you for sharing. Well, this was a wonderful, great conversation. I really enjoyed hearing your story. So,
Thank
thank
you.
you for sharing.
My pleasure.
So, I want to encourage all of you who are watching to save this show, come back, watch it again, because Ron really did have some great insights for businesses. And don't forget to, of course, like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get notifications just like this one every time we have a new conversation drop. So thanks to everyone who joined us today, and special thank you to Ron. We appreciate you for telling us your story, how videos on your website came to be, and even your background. So thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Well, thank you all and have a wonderful day.